Hi guys, so as promised, here's a little video about nightmares and night terrors. So on the form that I asked Shan to send to parents, it gives me a really clear picture of what's going on. There's lots of questions, and one of the questions is, does your child have nightmares? And I help babies anywhere from a couple of weeks all the way, and children up to 6 years old. So there's a large variable there. And often I'll find a parent of like a 9-month-old ticking the box saying, yeah, they have nightmares. And I take the opportunity in the consultation to explain that nightmares actually don't really start till around 2, often more from 3 years to 6 years, but they can be as early as 2, and the same with night terrors. When a parent of a 9-month-old or a younger child says they've nightmares, I'm saying chances are your baby fell asleep in your presence and they woke up and you weren't there. And that's when you hear that cry that like someone's in there pinching them or there's something wrong. Like it's it goes from 0 to 10. Like it's a quite intense cry, especially as the child gets older, if they've got a reliance on parent to sleep. When they wake up and they look at the empty chair, or they're in the cot but they fell asleep on your bed or something like that, that can often cause that real intense scared cry, but it's not a nightmare. Now, nightmares normally happen at the later part of the night in the REM cycle, so the rapid eye movement cycle of sleep. So, and with a nightmare, a child will come round, as in you'll be able to talk to them and say, you're okay, it was only a bad dream, you know, and reassure them, and they will wake up, and then you can comfort them and then help them back to bed. With a night terror, I've witnessed night terrors a couple of times with children that I've worked with, but also when I've been a maternity nurse and they have an older sibling in the house, you know, just because of what I do, I'll hear that scream and I'm like, oh, that's not the normal kind of cry. And I'll meet the parents on the land and like, what's going on? And it can be a night terror. What you don't do with night terrors is try and wake the child up. A night terror normally happens in the non-REM sleep cycle of, so the non-rapid eye movement cycle of sleep. It can happen anywhere from a half an hour of a child going to bed up to like 2 hours of a child going to bed. And some children who are sensitive to overtiredness really suffer from night terrors. So if their bedtime is too late, or they were at a birthday party and they were overstimulated, this can trigger night terrors in some children. So what we don't do is wake them up, but what we can do is hold them and keep them safe. It is actually quite scary. It's like they're saying words and they're, you know, trashing around here trying to help them, and they don't want the help. They don't even know that we're trying to offer the help. So a little chappie that I used to mind, he suffered from night terrors when there was a lot of excitement going on at the days, like, you know, start new play school or house move or just different things. He was sensitive to night terrors, and I would go in and go, it's okay, it's okay, it's Kelly, you're okay. He couldn't give two hoots it was or what was going on. He just wasn't with it. But it is very scary. It's like they're awake but they're not really awake, so they are actually still in a sleep state. So you just kind of have to protect them, keep them safe, and then you can cuddle them, hold them until their breathing returns to normal, and you can help them back to sleep. Night terrors, children don't remember night terrors the next day. Some children actually, when there's a fever brewing or there's something going on in the background, that can trigger night terrors as well. Nightmares, children remember the next day, and they might say to you, Mommy, there was a big spider in my room, or the shadow tried to get me. So talk about them, discuss them. Don't dwell on them, but do kind of, you know, work them out. Okay, so what were you afraid of? The monster. Okay, where was the monster? In my wardrobe. Okay, come on, let's hold hands, let's go see. And go, oh, there's no monsters in there, there's smelly socks in there. Okay, you know, you're acknowledging what they're saying, but you're not feeding it. But we are acknowledging. We're not going, don't be silly, it's nonsense. We don't want that. We want to say, okay, I understand you were scared, but I'm going to show you there's nothing to be scared of, you know, and I'm here if you need me. So how you deal with these can really mean that they will grow or they will dissolve away. So I would acknowledge them, offer support, and hopefully they will kind of dissolve away. If your child sees a scary movie, or someone tells them a story, and, you know, an older sibling or cousin or someone tells them something, and that's what comes into their mind, talk it through, get rid of it. If your child is sensitive to certain things like scary movies, like another little chappie that I minded, he if he watched, this is awful, if he watched the movie Nemo where the mommy goes missing or the daddy goes missing, I can't remember, it's years, but he'd wake up about dreams and Nemo and the parents going missing because he just get a fright, he just have that anxiety, so he wasn't allowed to watch Nemo. Anyway, so if there is a trigger, and look, Halloween is coming up, young children, you know, they may look okay and go, oh, there's a ghost or a skeleton or whatever, and you don't feel like it's done anything, and then you that night time you may have a nightmare and they're trying to tell you that it's the ghost or the skeleton or something. So if you do see something that's, or your child sees something that's new in their life and you're not sure of how they're taking that on board, explain it to them. This is a mask, and you know, you put on the mask and I'll put on the mask, and it's only dress up, you know, to if you're not sure, really dissolve it in the moment if you can and explain it through. But if you do have the nightmare, talk about it again the next day. Don't dwell on it, but do try and say, do you remember when you woke up and you said you seen the ghost? You know, that's because we seen the decoration in the shop, and there's nothing here that can hurt you, so on and so forth. So that is our nightmares and our night terrors. So I just thought I'd share that little bit of information. Night terrors, the first part of the night, children are not fully with it, and they won't remember it the next day. Your nightmares generally happen at the latter part of the night, and they will remember them the next day, and you can talk through. If you have a younger child who's waking up and it sounds like they're having a nightmare, chances are they're probably not. It's probably some sort of separation anxiety because you were present or you assisted to sleep. One other thing just popped into my head. Now that the world is opening back up, if you are one of those lucky parents who get a babysitter, if your child is prone to night terrors at the earlier part of the night, warn your babysitter. Look, hasn't happened in ages, but it can happen. You know, little Junior can wake up and have a night terror. Just go up, cuddle him, hold him, he's absolutely fine, and you know, text us if you need us, we'll come home, you know, no problem whatsoever. But do give them a heads up so that they don't feel like there's something possessing your child. Yeah, so that's your nightmares and night terrors. So pop a comment below what you would like me to make my next video about. Just a quick one on the waiting list. So we opened the waiting list on Monday at 10 o'clock. Within seconds, we had 120 submissions of the contact form. We closed it soon after, and a lot of the categories, the trickier categories filled up quickly, which I expected that they would. So like for example, the 4 to 6 month old category, both breastfed and formula fed categories were like, you know, crazy numbers, and I can only help so many families within each category at one time. So, and all the categories overfilled, so we closed it off, and Shan will be in touch to let you know if you are going to be offered an appointment or if you came in after your category had been full. Now, we did close it off as soon as we could, but within seconds we were like overwhelmed, we were inundated, and we have to be as fair as possible, first come first served. So thanks to Shan, she's looking after all that, and she's super busy doing that. So, and I look forward to starting this new waiting list and working with you guys, and I also look forward to taking December off. So save this video if you you might need a refresher when the time comes your child gets a little bit older. Share with a friend if they have children in this age group, and comment below if you would like me to make another video on a different topic. Okay, sweet dreams.